The vast sea of dunes on Exus 9 shimmered under binary suns, a furnace of desolation. Into this relentless heat, a stricken vessel plunged, trailing smoke like a wound. Commander Zora, a peacekeeper, fought a losing battle against the sabotage controls. The impact was a symphony of tearing metal, and her experimental liquid metal armor, a marvel of advanced tech, shattered on the sand, scattering gleaming fragments. Blue skin bruised and bleeding indigo, Zora dragged herself from the wreckage. Stripped of her defense and transportation, she was stranded. The high-pitched whine of approaching consortium gunships, mercenaries determined to silence her mission, sealed her dread. Her only option, a desperate scramble to burrow into the unforgiving sand, praying for a miracle as the vultures landed mere meters away. That miracle arrived in the most unlikely form. Jan, a human salvage engineer, squinting against the glare, grease streaking his forehead. 2 decades of scavenging the shattered waste had honed his instincts. When his skiff spotted the fresh military wreck in the circling consortium patrols, he knew he'd found something illicit and highly profitable. Though the presence of the mercenaries screamed danger, curiosity and greed pulled him closer. Hiding near the crash site, he saw her, the blue alien, half buried, clearly dying. In tales like this, the simple choice is often the hardest, but Yan found he couldn't leave her. He scrambled down the dune, wary of the gunships, and knelt beside the alien woman. When he tried to rouse her, silver eyes snapped open. Despite her weakened state, her grip on his wrist was iron. "Touch my armor," she snarled, "and I'll break your hands." Zora, commander of the Galactic Peacekeepers, was in no mood for human aid. Jan, pointing to the circling ships, gave her a choice. "Let me get you out of here, or stick around and see what those boys have planned." Reluctantly, she released him, but demanded the scattered fragments of her armor come with them, declaring it non-negotiable. Grudgingly, Jan helped her gather the precious scrap, half carrying the injured alien to his sand skiff before roaring away from the crash site and its predators. As they raced across the dunes, Zora revealed the armor was an unstable prototype, an adaptive liquid metal fusion that reshaped itself to counter threats. The crash had overwhelmed its structural integrity. John, who had a new title for her, Commander, explained the brutal reality. They'd have to fix it without a proper facility, deep in the junkyard of the waste. His office. The next few weeks were a relentless blur. They sheltered in a collapsed mining rig, Jan's practical scavenger skills invaluable as he sought components. Zora, forced into agonizing inaction, directed him, realizing the human, despite his avarice, grasped complex technical concepts quickly. Their labor was interrupted by a catastrophic glass storm, razor-sharp fragments scouring their makeshift base. Huddled together, Zora found an unexpected comfort in Yan's solid presence, respecting his fierce resilience against the harsh realities of Exus 9. Slowly, painstakingly, the shattered pieces coalesced. During a rare moment of repose, Zora asked the question, gnawing at her. Why was he helping? Jan's eyes held a flicker of old pain. He wasn't a hero, he said, but sometimes one had to do what was right, even if it wasn't smart. Their moment of vulnerability was shattered by an ominous, rhythmic rumble. Sandworms. The ground shook as the colossal predators closed in. Unable to outrun them in the skiff, Zora pointed to a discarded mining drill, suggesting its vibrations might confuse the beasts. John hotwired the relic, buying them a precious few seconds before a massive worm erupted right in their path. As they fought, Jan, using a battered plasma cutter, shouted his desperate plan, detonate the seismic charges in the back compartment to overwhelm the worm's senses. Before he could volunteer, Zora took the controls. "I'll do it," she declared, pushing the controls into his hand. "Sometimes you have to do what's right, even if it's not smart. Isn't that what you said?" She vaulted onto the sand, setting the charges as the worms converged. The resulting explosion stunned the beasts, allowing Jan to swoop in. They escaped, the shared danger forging a bond stronger than any alloy. Weeks later, the consortium finally caught up. A sleek gunship crested a dune. Zora prepared to hold them off, but Jan stood firm. "We're in this together, remember?" To Zora's horror, he rammed his skiff, his only transport, into the gunship, creating a miniature sun in the waste. "Some things are worth more than ships," he stated, his fierce grin a promise of sacrifice. They made for a nearby canyon, but the remaining ships pursued them relentlessly. Cornered, Jan gave Zora a final, desperate command: run to the outcropping, no matter what she heard, and trust him. She obeyed, though every instinct screamed defiance. When she reached the shelter, she looked back. Jan stood alone, silhouetted with a jury-rigged sonic cannon. He shattered the lead gunship, but in his moment of triumph, a missile from a surviving ship found its mark. The world dissolved in fire and sand. Zora ran, tears blurring her vision, honoring Jan's sacrifice. She survived, hiding in the canyon until the ships left. Grief-stricken, she mourned her friend and resolved to complete her mission for him. Using the knowledge Jan had imparted, she worked feverishly, facing storms and scavengers, to reassemble the armor. It was a patchwork, but its core systems came back online, a testament to Jan's instruction. Her moment of triumph was short-lived. The jury-rigged systems began to fail just as the consortium returned. Knowing she had mere minutes, Zora pushed the armor past its limits, engaging the gunships in a spectacular, suicidal assault. She tore through their hulls, disabling the entire squadron before her armor reached its catastrophic breaking point. She propelled herself clear just as the power core detonated, wiping out the advanced technology forever. Zora stood, battered, but alive. She had delivered the vital intelligence. 2 months later, Peacekeeper Command found her at a rundown outpost. The debriefing was historic. Her information thwarted a major consortium plot. Commendations and promotions awaited, but Zora had one final stop. At a bustling starport, she found a recently repaired freighter, the Phoenix Asterisk. The owner turned, and Jan, alive and whole, stood before her. A reluctant consortium mercenary had saved him. Zora's eyes, dancing with emotion, met his. She repaid him with a salvaged data chip, enough to buy 10 ships. Why? Because sometimes you have to do what's right, even if it's not smart, she repeated. Jan, a crooked grin spreading across his face, understood. Zora, bound by duty, prepared to leave. But the universe was vast. She hinted that official channels could be limiting, suggesting an unconventional, off-the-books arrangement with a fast ship and a resourceful captain. Jan, catching her meaning, knew this was a new beginning. As Zora walked away, he called out, "Try not to crash any more ships, yeah?" She promised to do her best. The Star Commander, forever changed by the shattered wastes, had a new, complicated life ahead.